Now I'm very happy to have with me once again, as often, and I'm very happy that it is often, Robert Rees.
Hi Arne, thanks for having me here. It's
Well,
always a pleasure to be on your side.
excellent. Exactly the same thing that I wanted to say. It's always fun to have some interviews, some talks with you. And now I think this is absolutely fitting to the theme we are having right now, master coaches, super coaches. You are definitely one of them. You have made so many Fritz trainers that it is difficult to count them meanwhile. And people love your material. And I know why, because you are. Coaching is in your blood and it is something which you really enjoy. Now, let me ask you the first question. Why do you enjoy coaching so much, and why are you good in coaching?
Well, the last question I'm not able to answer. It's better for others to judge. But why I enjoy? Well, I like chess and I like to interact with people. And I'm actually from a teacher's family. So that probably explains why I decided to, after years of trying to become a good chess player, okay, I reached a reasonable level, but at some point you realize, okay, you're not good enough to be able to make a living as a player. And then, okay, the combination of teaching and doing your hobby, it always attracted me. And yeah, that's what I enjoy up to today. And yeah, what makes you a good trainer? I really don't know. It's I think the human part is often underestimated. Like you can be a good chess player, but it doesn't automatically mean that you're a good coach. You also need to be able to transform your knowledge to the student.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's not given to every strong chess player, that skill. And I hope that my method works like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Talking about the method, this is the next question in line, actually. So, what are your particular methods to coaching?
Yeah, well, it always depends also on who is your student, a young guy or just an adult who enjoys the game, a very young kid or a very talented kid. All these kind of factors, they need to be studied by the coach before. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever I get a new student, let's say with a bit of ambition, young guy, I ask them to send me the games. I will have a look. And especially in the first couple of sessions, we will analyze games. And well, the reason why I think I'm doing good in what I'm doing is I'm giving direct, straightforward feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And some trainers and coaches, from what I know or hear, is that they are not often confronting their students with clear mistakes. But I think you always need to be clear to the students to know what they can expect from you, and it will help them. I always
Mm-hmm.
appreciated when people were very straight to me. And okay, sometimes this may sound hard, but it's not the intention to be hard. It's just to have everything clear and be confronted with your strengths and weaknesses, and to build up a relation with trainer and student, so that you can trust each other.
In one of our recent interviews, you mentioned that you are the coach of Eline Röbers since like kind of her very beginning of her chess career. She had a
Yeah,
great
basically when she started playing chess, so that was around 7, 8 years old. One
yeah.
year later, I started. Yeah.
So this is just a quite beautiful story, of course, because she's doing exceptionally good work, and of course, a lot of this probably or perhaps falls back to you too. When you started training with her, how old was she then?
Yeah, I think she must have been around 8, but to be honest, I forgot exactly what
Yeah.
age she had at that time. We started with group lessons, and well, she was in a group with all the boys, and she was beating all the boys. So I noticed her talent, and very soon after, we started also doing private trainings.
Mhm.
And yeah, what was your exact question?
The question is following up now, but I just wanted
Yeah.
to know exactly. Yeah. So and since you are making a lot of Fritz trainers which are about calculation, but also for different levels and different aspects, and you're also giving
Yeah.
some hints and advice for the different levels of the players. And yeah, well, you started with Elena Ribas when she just started to play chess. What is your greatest? And by the way, we're also having our underdog show, which is like where low-rated players win against very high-rated players. So you, better than a lot of other coaches, know how to get the best out of chess players who just began playing chess. Give us a little bit of advice for the players who just began playing chess up to a level of, like, say, 1400, 1600 even. What is the greatest advice for them?
Yeah, work on tactics. I mean, everybody wants to study sophisticated strategies and so on. It's great to follow the games of Magnus and following his style and of many others. But I think for beginners, it's all about tactics. I mean, chess is really about tactics, especially in the beginning. So what I focus on with these students is try to look at a position, which pieces are protected, which ones are unprotected. Are you able to attack, capture? I mean, whenever you calculate, you should look in a sort systematic way. You look at what are my possibilities, which candidate moves. You look at checks, you look at captures, and you look at threats, and that's where it all starts. And trying to identify the weaknesses in your opponent's position is absolutely key. Whenever you get a bit stronger, of course, you also have to study what the opponent is able to do. So you have to defend against these threats and try to anticipate them. But basically, it's all about tactics. And that's what I actually emphasize on my two newly published DVDs for calculation training for, let's say, one volume is about rating 1000 till 1400, and the other one 1400 till 1600.
Yeah, excellent. And coming from that, what is the best advice for players who are roughly touching the 2000 or even want more, like reaching a title, for example?
Of course, it's the tactics, they are not over when you reach 1600, so you should also still be able to work on them. But also positional aspects are more should be taken more seriously. Study pawn structures, try to read what the pawns are doing. It will give you more inside information also, where you should place your pieces. If a knight is supported by a pawn, can already make a very big difference compared to situations where it's unprotected. If you move a pawn one square further or keep it on the square, it really impacts the placement of the bishops, open files. These kind of things, they will really help you to get till 2000 level, I would say.
When you are coaching, how do you use engines, and what advice can you give to the people who analyze with engines themselves?
Well, it really depends. For, let's say, players still like 1600, I would suggest not to look too much. I mean, in a sense, it's always good to look, but only try to get the information when the engines are really jumping from, let's say, 0 to +4 or something. But if you have a, let's say, quiet type of position and the evaluation bar is something between 0.5, 0.6, not much is happening, the engine is not going to explain you anything. So better turn it off. But for checking your mistakes, that is the best thing to do. But don't make your own interpretation on it.
What are your thoughts about online chess? And I mean, of course, in general, we're talking about bullet chess and blitz chess, because a lot of young players now almost grow up with this environment of online chess. Is this something where you say, like, hey, you should play as often as possible, it can only benefit, or would you be, or are you the person who says, be cautious, this can actually damage?
Well, I see it more as a training, but it depends on how you use it. Like if you like playing online, definitely do it. But if you don't like it, okay, it's a pity. You could have tried to test out your new openings, try to get in shape, try to get in good form with spotting tactical possibilities. So especially in pandemic, when there was no over-the-board chess, I recommended my students to play online. And actually, I could see the difference in the results between those who invested their time in playing more online and the others who didn't do. Even some of these students, they even gave up on playing chess. That can of course also happen. Some people really don't like the online part. And I think the most important thing in chess, whenever it comes also to self-study, trainers, they can have recommendations. You should do this or you should do that. But the most important thing is you should do something you enjoy, because otherwise it is not going to be a happy marriage between you and chess.
Very nice. We're coming to exactly perfectly segueing to the next question I have, because when you are coaching, in general, it's about chess. But what about if there are some like issues, like, I don't know, if you didn't sleep well and you couldn't sleep well for some time, if something happened in life and all of that above, do you go the step beyond, or are you like, listen, I'm your coach for chess and we're doing chess?
No. I try to build up a relation where I'm mainly talking about young students now. Yeah,
Sure.
I'm probably not the person who should be able to give life advice to people 20 years older than me. But to young people, I am there. I'm using my ears. I'm listening to them, and I try to help wherever I can, especially during tournaments. I've played these tournaments myself as well, and there can always be unexpected things happening, and it can really affect young people. They have not been in such situations before, and any kind of advice which can help, I should give it. So sometimes the preparation is not even chess wise; it's also psychological. Like, just if somebody is really unsure about its own skills, then probably I should talk more about the mental aspect, like try to give confidence to the student, rather than trying to drill them to learn new opening theory. That's not the way to do it, I guess.
When it comes to end games, middle games, and to openings, how do you differentiate, and what the importance is of those three chapters? Like, is it like, okay, first it's all openings, then middle games, then end games? Or do you say first end games before anything else, and this is the most important thing? Can you emphasize a little bit on that?
Very difficult question.
I
think
agree.
Personally, I liked always studying openings on my own. So that's where I spend a lot of time on it. And by studying openings, I just click through thousands, millions of games probably in my life. I've seen so many things. And while studying these openings, you also study middle games and end games. So you learn a lot by studying openings, not only the openings, but also other aspects, positional, tactical play, different phases of the game. When I'm with students, let's say face to face, okay, of course you work on openings, but you also work on calculation, you work on end games, and I cannot really say how you divide it exactly. It also depends on the exact needs of your student, and there are different approaches. Sometimes I work with students trying to erase their weaknesses, and with other students, I try to get them even better at their strongest point, so that they are comfortable getting sharp. If you're tactically very gifted, you would like to get sharper positions, you need to adjust your playing style, adjust your openings, and then of course the focus is a bit less on end games. But if somebody has a very positional style, and if you have a game where in the first 30-40 moves not much is happening, the emphasis should probably be a bit more on studying endgames as well. So it also depends on the character of the student. And there are a lot of trainers, coaches who have their own method. And I have my own method in a way that I try to see who is my student and see where I can help the student best. Rather than saying, okay, we're going to do it in this or that way, I prefer to have a dialogue with my student, and then together we can come up with a good plan. That's usually what happens.
One last question. Calculation is one of the things you concentrate heavily, and you are very, very good in giving the message to the people who are viewing your Fritz trainers, for example, and obviously your students too. What is the greatest advice for all chess players when they are studying or when they're going deeper into the calculation?
Well, my main advice is that, from what I see from my students and what I know from my own experience, is people tend to go very deep, but usually the mistake is made at an earlier part of the line. So when you have a position in front of you, look at as many candidates moves as possible. You do the same for your opponent, and while trying to work out a line, on the second or third move, people, they go very deep, like it's a forcing sequence. Very often it's not the case. And there are also on the second or third move, there are a lot of options. So rather than going too deep, my advice is try to not go too deep and just orientate yourself on more candidate moves, on more ideas, because then you will get to see more in a position when compared to lines where you go too deep too fast. It's very likely you're going to miss something, and then all the efforts are in vain.
Robert, as always, it was an absolute joy. And for you at home who are just watching now, you know what to do. It's the hot discount day, so get those Fritz trainers. And yeah, Robert, I can't wait for the next time we have an interview or a show or something similar. Thanks.
Very nice. Thank you, Arne.